everybody, welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host Anne, on a very rainy, dreary day. I guess it isn't raining yet. Disembodied Hands Quinty is back with us today. Everybody give her a welcome back. And then we got Disembodied Beard John, one assumes, but perhaps he's playing hooky today. And then I don't know about the Cornico. I don't know if she's back from her internet cessation, but I do not see her. So it's all of you holding the fort down today, along with my brain, which is not very dependable today. But it's better than yesterday. But I still woke up too freaking early in the morning. I don't know why. Usually you want to sleep in after daylight savings, but for some reason... Oh God, it's you again, Kara. Oh God. Kodiak with the 36 months. That's a triple sub-anniversary. Triple sub-anniversary, triple sub-anniversary, triple sub-anniversary. Happy triple sub-anniversary. There you go. Excellent. All right, we have Ghastly Pale dude back again today. Luckily, his face is the only part of him that's really showing. So he's only going to be ghastly pale on his face and a little bit of his hand, which we already painted, so we don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I was kind of demonstrating how lightening the hair around the face is going to make the face look just a little bit darker. He does have white hair, so let's actually paint that for reals today instead of just like sketching it in with thinned white. And I think I want to use a slightly different color for that. I think he's actually... Let me look up Seltyiel real quick and see what Wayne Reynolds used to shade his hair. I had him once upon a point. Alright. Yeah, the original. There's the original, and then there's number 2. But let's look at number 1. So pretty much gray, pretty much boring. The skin is downright greenish, which is always weird, but we've already done that, so. This is not the metal one. This is the Bones USA, I think. Am I correct on that, Quindy? Pretty sure it's Bones USA. We have no 3D print connections, and it's definitely one of the two, but it seems like Bones USA to me. I don't paint much metal on here anymore, Skippin', because the Bones USA is just so clean, and it's really clear, and it doesn't have any of the problems of metal. Metal is just harder to remove mold lines. It's a little weightier, so they tend to fall off of my little standees a little bit easier. So yeah. So yeah, I definitely have a preference these days for either the Reaper 3D prints or the Reaper Bones USA. Bones USA is probably my favorite, actually. The Siocast. I really like it. It's a joy to paint. The details are super crisp. You can see everything. Like, minimal mold lines. There's really nothing bad here. And you can prime them. I'm just not because I'm a rebel. So I'm going to start with cloudy gray on the hair, guys. And I'm going to add probably a little bit of blue into it. Yeah, when it was, like, in the olden days, I far preferred metal because it was really the best, except for, like, poured resin. Poured resin could be a pain to deal with. I still preferred resin, so the fact that the Siocast is so close to resin, as far as the detail that it shows, without some of the disadvantages, is a plus, in my opinion. Oh, that was the wrong place. Sorry, trying to return some paint to my box here, and I'm distracted. I'm distracted, Anne, this morning. I just have felt like I've just been waking up way too early. Disrupt sleep. Never good. He did miss the song. Yeah, somebody's going to have to turn Kuro on to the fact that once she has internet, she has to tune in to see the song for today. But yeah, I can't, like, we were working on a metal not long ago. Just because the only time I'll do metal is if it's the only way I can get the figure, or if it's metal or original bones, in which case metal is definitely the choice in my opinion. If I want detail. So there we go. So cloudy gray, I'm going to add a tiny bit of blue into that, I think, just because I like to not make my grays totally neutral. Indeed, poor sweet Destroyer of Worlds SSC. Actually, Ritterlick is kind of fraught, so let me do a nope on that, and instead go out to blue liner, which is going to let me get the shadow without really shifting the color of my gray. Oop, of course it's going to be clogged. Oh, but yes, my brain definitely jittering around this morning. I'll be happy when I can finally sleep up to my alarm instead of waking up with David's alarm. It's kind of annoying. I'm shifting back to low carb again, so that should help my sleep. It usually does. Okay. Little tiny dot, a blue liner. Let's see how much that changes everything. Boop. I was looking for a 5K this morning to replace my San Francisco 5K, since it's, of course, the same day as my family reunion, which I've committed to going to. So I can't do my SF 5K, which is very sad because I wanted to. It's on the same course, and so I wanted to redo it and see if I could score better. And also, I really liked running it last year. It's like the perfect weather for Anne. It's like cool and misty, usually on the coast in the morning. And you get to look at the Bay Bridge as you run. Now I'm become SSC, the Destroyer of Worlds, yes. Yeah, sleep. I like sleep. Sleep is my number one priority, but I've been struggling with it for the last 6 months or so. So, I've tried a lot of stuff. I actually added, I paid for the Calm app, because I'm always trying to start a meditation practice, and it's like, eluded me. The only time I was consistent with it was when Kiri was in a bad way, where I really needed it to, like, download my stress levels. All right, so we're leaving our white a little bit thicker than I normally do. We'll see. And we'll start that way. There we go. I like some of the features on it quite a bit, Kodiak. I've only used it for like a day. It has a lot of stuff. So, like, no matter what your jam is as far as meditation, it's what I really like about it is the ability to set these background. You can set backgrounds, and mine is rainy, and it even makes the noise. I don't know if you can hear it. So I really love that. And it has different ones. It doesn't all have rainy ones, but you can set a kind of an ambient background, and it'll even play through some of the stuff. So that's like customizing your home screen. They have like sleep stories that you can doze off to. I haven't tried those yet. I have done the Calm Daily, and the Calm Daily is really nice. It's like a short meditation session that you can do. But yeah, I'm just like, there's so much content on it that I like a couple of the people on it quite a bit, though. Like, they've got a few different, like, meditation people that do all the lessons, and so far I have yet to find one I dislike, so. But yeah, my problem is just making time for it. Like, I have to set a time, and, you know, it's just like with my writing habit. There has to be a trigger off of another habit. There has to be a place that it fits in my schedule. I used to do it after I took my morning walk when Kiri was in a bad way. I would do it right because there was a fountain at our apartment complex. Right when I came back from the walk, I would pass by it. So I would just sit at the fountain and meditate for like 10 minutes to just like make myself not completely freak out. And I did that pretty much after my morning and my evening walk. So I had a really good meditation habit going, and it really helped me when Kiri was going downhill. But now I just feel like I need it just because I've got a lot going on, and I'd like to sleep better. You know, it has a lot of benefits for you. So I'm just trying everything I can to sleep better. Hey, Hyper. Like, I've you know, you guys all know I stopped watching, you know, screens before bed. I cut down, like, I stop looking at screens quite a bit before I go to sleep now. Unless I forget. I do forget sometimes, but it's at least an hour. I do at least an hour with 0 screens before bed. Trying to work up to 2 hours there. And then I try to lower the temperature in our bedroom because I open the windows before we go to bed. You know, I try to do all the things pretty much to get my sleep a little better. So diet is the one thing that I had not integrated, and I hadn't done meditation. So those are the 2 things I'm working on now. Morning, Marich. But yeah, the big thing today, though, is I have to get back on my writing habit. When you have a brain like mine, there's a lot of inertia, so it's always going to be hard when I'm restarting. It's really easy once I get going, but it's hard when I restart. So today is... I reread over everything last night to bring myself back into the story. And I'm about to introduce the ticking clock, so that should help. All right, so we've painted over the white that I sketched in last time to give his hair a uniform gray. I'm going to paint over that shadow that I popped in last time too. Here, let's get in focus. I'm sure we're just slightly out of focus. Nothing drives you crazier than a ticking clock. So I'm going to glaze over this a little bit. I need the ticking clock, though, to drive my characters to action. They cannot laze about thinking about stuff. They have to do things because there's a ticking clock. Ticking clocks are good. In storytelling, anyway. They may not be good in real life. I also do not like the sound of ticking. There we go. So kept a little bit of shadow. That's really funny, Quindy. Morning, Daffodweir. How's it going? I think that's also a piece of hair. That little squiggle there. All right. Now we have that gray. Let's bring it up. Wow, it is quite dark outside. I hope it does rain. We were supposed to have a high chance of it today. Mostly it's supposed to be afternoon. So we'll start at the crown of the head. There's always a lot of highlight when you're painting hair. And this is actually really good hair to practice on because it's so smooth. So there's always a lot of highlight on the top of the head. There's always kind of a halo effect going on. So I'm going to put down kind of the base layer of white, which is thinned, so it's not as bright as it could be. Then I'm going to build up that white so that I have the highlights in the correct place. And I am going to start out using brush strokes in the direction of the hair. And I am going to leave a little bit of space because this hair is so flat. Send me your rain, Marie. Send me your rain. I can't hear it, so I know it's not going yet. Money, yeah. Yeah. I know you were talking about you were focusing on your finances, Kodiak, so I totally get it. Good luck. Be focused. Be focused and you will hit your goals. I'm diving back into running pretty seriously now that I'm able to do it and I'm improving. And now I can't go to my San Francisco marathon, so I'm thinking about going to Santa Cruz, which is the surf town over the mountains from us. It's actually only about 40 minutes away, so it's not bad. But theirs is on the 4th of July. Their 5K is on the 4th of July. Which is a Friday, so I'd have to miss the stream to go on a 5K. To show my commitment. So here, we still want the hair to be white here, but we need to keep more shadow in this little area since there would be a natural shadow. The reason for that is when the light is falling on top, when the hair goes perpendicular to that, you're going to get shadow area. But we need to still pick out a few strands with our thinned white in order to maintain continuity so we don't just stop highlighting there. We just are far more sparing with our highlights so that this patch of hair looks darker. Yeah, it's like it's a long-term goal, right? You sacrifice a little bit for working 7 days a week for a short period of time, but then you are able to save up, if you're trying to save up an emergency fund, for example, it can be a very effective way to do so. And then once you have that emergency fund, you can breathe a little easier. Or if you're trying to pay off a big debt that's weighing you down, it can be a very effective way to do it. So whatever your goal, Kodiak, I know you can do it. I have faith. Put your mind to it. And then when you inevitably succeed, remember that you can do anything. Hawaiian Grill in Santa Cruz, huh? Yeah, Aloha Island Grill. I can look it up, seriously. Although I just got back from Hawaii, so. Oh, yeah, I wanted to ask you guys, those of you who read the first chapter of 3 Favors. No, I don't want a written critique. I just was curious whether you liked it. Yeah, this was where I was just curious if you guys liked it. Because I'm already to I'm almost to 45,000 words now, so. This book might be a long one. I don't know. We'll see. I'm in the fun and games section right now, which means I'm lavishing time on world building and the fun stuff. But the favors are going to get more dangerous as we go, so. About half and half. Better than totally negative, I guess, Quindy. I was going to ask you too, but I ran out of time to text you before the stream. So I'm just using little strokes here to break up some of these patches of hair. And we are going to bring the hair up even brighter than this. And we'll probably glaze it with white as well. You can do anything. Doesn't mean you should. We have a saying in writing fantasy fiction, Kara. In fantasy fiction, you can do anything, but that doesn't mean you should. Yeah, I think I might need, I don't know, I'm in my rough draft phase now with Three Favors, and I think it's going to need. I go back and forth between going, oh, I'm really happy with this, and oh, this is going to need a lot of editing. I think, I think there are definitely some dynamics that I'm going to need to emphasize, de-emphasize, etc. before it goes to you guys, betas. Hey, Michael. Turgeon was just saying what he was just telling me that he liked the first chapter of Three Favors. I didn't know if you got a chance to read it yet. It was in my newsletter that I sent before Hawaii. I blurfed that, so I need to repaint that. It is a lifestyle. For you, maybe. I tried that lifestyle for much of my 20s. It didn't work so well for me. The chaotic, stupid lifestyle. Cloudy gray with a touch of blue liner, Roger. You missed it! Well, if you search I think it comes from Anne at aebeckerwrites.com, so if you do a search in your email, you should find it. I think I am going to add a little water to my white. I want it a little bit more blendable. It's a little too harsh for me. The downside is that when you add more water to your white, it's going to take longer for you to build up these white highlights, but... Yeah, all of us in our 20s were living chaotic stupid. Yeah. Truth. Oh no! The Reaper T Public has broken image files. That's bad, Skippin. Sorry about that. That's... Oh, Quindy's getting it? Maybe refresh? Yeah, I went a little bit blue with it. I like to have my grays just be a little bit cooler. Especially since his skin tone is warm and I wanted contrast there. So yeah, this is looking very line-y right now, guys, and it's going to cease looking quite so line-y as I work it. But I'm starting out with this. I just wanted my my lines to be a little less overdone. Oh, yeah, maybe it's your work. Yep. Lawful stupid venturing into neutral stupid. That's fair. I always tested as chaotic good on the D&D alignment tests, so... Neutral good or chaotic good, depending on how whimsical I was feeling on the day I took the test. Or neutral good with chaotic tendencies. Mostly because I didn't blindly trust authority, and I still don't. So again, we want the highlights to come down. Kind of here, the back of the head is rounded, so we want this highlight to be a little bit rounded, guys. A little bit scoop-shaped when we consider it in total. And that's going to look more realistic. Yeah, that's a terrible way to spend your 20s. So thinner paint, I'm doing a little bit of a broader brush stroke. Oh, the site can have explicit material. That makes sense, yeah. Yeah, doing it backwards. I respect that. Yep. Indeed. Ooh, it's very blustery. Come on, rain. I shouldn't be wishing for rain before Kiki's walk. With my luck, it'll dump on us. Today is definitely a painting day because Bryce is coming to visit. So even if we don't actually paint, we're going to talk painting. Looking forward to seeing him. Usually we only see him at ReaperCon, or if he has rare business stuff over here. Yeah, he is very magical and kind, isn't he? Accidentally confirmed a couple times that they block nothing. Yes. Yeah, he lives in Reno, and it's like close enough to the Bay Area that he has business stuff sometimes here, Kara, so we get to see him every once in a while. Bryce has a good heart. He can be a little wicked, though. Just saying. I think I'm safe from him actually watching the stream this morning since he's in a workshop. So we want to keep a little bit of the shadow here. We're going to slowly bring up stuff down here. Oh, Michael. My brain is slow today. Like, I'm still fighting the wake up too early sleep for some reason. There's something in my brain that wants to wake up early lately. How do I avoid it? Don't join our judging team. At ReaperCon. That's the only time I've seen the wicked side of Bryce come out. Everybody's got duality in them, though, right? Like, we all are kind of balanced on that scale. We have our moments. We all have our moments. Whether we're mostly wicked with little bits of, like, angelic awesomeness, or we're mostly magical, awesome with bits of wickedness. You're in the fog too, yeah. Alright, now I'm going to glaze a little bit. I want to take some of the linearness out of this. And I want to lighten up the shadows down here. So I want to glaze. Yeah, I don't know. They put you somewhere. I'm happy in painters where I am. I could judge open, but I like doing painters because there are fewer parameters. I like doing diorama, actually, because story is where it's at for me. So the few times they've had me do diorama have been fun. The unfair part is that Bryce's wife is as sweet and awesome as he is. Kara. She doesn't come to the cons because she's not a nerd that way, but she is one of my beta readers. And she is awesome. So I'm just glazing to like tie things together so we don't get such a streaky thing. And you could do this by doing a lot of transition colors between your white and your gray. Like you could have mixed a couple of transitions and highlighted with that. I really prefer just sketching on the white and then glazing with white to bring up parts. I just find that for me it works a lot better. That's a question for Michael Proctor at the con. Usually we grab people to do shadowing who are we're training to actually judge ReaperCon. But I'm sure if you explained, Val, then Michael would assign you somebody. Although, honestly, it might just be better for you to come and talk to me about open system, because every open's a little different. ReaperCon's open system is very inclusive. Not all open systems are. Some are more hardcore, like World Expo. So if you just want to run down to the system, Ed and I were trained in it. You know, Ed is no longer around, but I am. And I'm happy to talk about open. The hardest part, though, and also not all open systems allow their judges to talk to each other during the process. We do, because we want a consensus. But when I judged at Tulsa Show, they had us do it all separately. Which actually led to more issues, because then there was a greater chance that people would judge very differently on the same model, and then you had to get pulled back. Then you had to get pulled back into the back room and you all had to agree on something. I think that in retrospect, the way that ReaperCon does it is better. Have all three judges discuss their opinions. Like, in my judging team, we go up to, like, you know, anybody can enter any number of figures in a category. So say we walk up to a painter entry that has 5 figures. We all will stop. We'll all kind of do a quick look over the 5 figures and we'll decide among us which one is we could score the highest. Because the reason that people who switch to open, like, or formats that switch to open often have problems is that they haven't retrained their judges to think in a non-critical manner. So you're really looking to award the best you can. That's the point of the open. So you choose the mini that you think you can score the highest. And that's a very different mindset. Oh, IPMS. Oh, like mold lines that don't care. Mold lines or 3D print support bits, bubbins. I like that word. Let's do that. Like, yeah, it should still be 5%. It's like, it doesn't count for much. The thing is, Val, consider which mountain you're going to die on, because as a one-piece figure, fit and finish at most is 5%, in my opinion, in painters. And it's never going to downgrade you a medal unless it's egregious. So it doesn't mean nothing, but it's such a small amount in a painter's category that you probably don't even want to die on that hill. Like, I would choose something else to argue, right? Because it's such a small thing. I can think of one single model that I have downgraded a category, an entire metal category, for fit and finish in painters. And that model had an egregiously bad mold line running across the hair, like, so bad, like, it just stuck out. It was terrible. And the piece probably would have gotten a silver, but it got a bronze because of that. Because it was, like, low silver, and that was enough to push it into bronze. Because it was just awful. It was a terrible mold line. It was really thick. It was just bad. Like, I couldn't believe, given the painter, I could not believe they'd left it there. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, it was just painting. I didn't feel like it. And I'm like, well, you didn't feel like it just got you a bronze. But yeah, like, that's one example in the... Wow, how many? Over 20 years we've been doing ReaperCon. That's the single example that fit and finish has dropped someone a medal. I could see some judges might drop them a point, like, and that's why we always discuss on my team. It's they're looking for things that can't exist on the model. They're approaching it as scale modelers, not painters. I see. So they're trying to consider fit and finish on a model that it doesn't apply to. Fit and finish on the way to explain that is fit and finish on a normal, like one piece 28 millimeter is going to be mold line removal and or digital support removal, right? And if it is a glue point, if there is a glue point, it's going to be the fit and finish, right? Does it fit well? Does it fit seamlessly? Have they cleaned up the glue? So there is fit and finish there. It's just on a much smaller scale. But yeah, I mean, that's something that they're going to have to learn to do as they judge more figures. Like, figures have only become kind of more of a force at IPMS in the last several years. IPMS never used to, like, you know, figures were very much kind of an afterthought at IPMS. Up until, I think it was a few years ago when one of the vendors I know who exhibits at the IPMS National made a point of telling me that he noticed a surge in figures. Oh, rain. Yay! But he'd noticed a sudden upsurge in figures being entered at IPMS. So they've only, you know, this is a new thing. It's going to take time for people to learn about it. But yeah, it's a thing. It's just a minor thing on those, right? Mold lines and print supports. And if there's anything miscast or mismolded, correcting that, right? But yeah, I mean, I give them some leeway. They probably could use some people like us, like coming in who have judged 28s, you know, single piece 28s more often. But it'll just take time for them to learn. Yeah, you'll need to give an example, Val, so that we know exactly what they're doing. So now I'm going to solidify the highlight, kind of the ring of highlight right around here on the part. The part is slightly off center, so I'm going to put a little more emphasis a little higher up on this side and a little lower down on that side. Hey, New Code, thank you for the resub. 63 months. Yay, it's raining. I'm so happy. I wonder if it's supposed to rain when I'm supposed to be walking the puppa. It's not acknowledging that it's actually raining right now, so probably not. Probably will have sprinkles. But yeah, I mean, the scale model, that's where they're coming from, right? So it takes time to learn how to judge something else. And, I mean, it's a common problem. I had more of a problem with button counter fantasy myself. With the blue werewolf, which many of you have heard me talk about before. Look at the base. If one was done for vehicles and planes, it's not considered. Well, in painters, the base only counts for 5% or 10%. Right? You don't really consider the base in painters, okay? So, assuming your open system has a normal structure, or a shepherd pane structure, which is painters open ordnance, right? So, painters isn't judged on basing. Like, the base should be there. If it's not there, then you ding them 10%, right? So, there has to be a base. But the basing doesn't really count for the overall score, unless it detracts from the figure or really helps like the figure's composition. Like, I would say that a base that really helped the composition of the figure to show off the figure, I would maybe give it a little bit extra push. But like, so if I was on the edge of like, say a medium silver to a high silver, and the base was really well done and it displayed the figure really well and it worked with the composition, then I might bump that up to high silver because I was already on the edge, right? But basing is something that's only gonna bump you a little bit because it just doesn't count for that much in painters. So if they're ignoring it, they're really not like losing much, right? That thinking about it that way is helpful. Like, you really want to look at the percentages of what goes in to each of these categories. Like, Reaper publishes that, and I think we adjusted them a little bit for fantasy at one point, but they're very close to the ones that Shep used. That's why it's good to talk about this stuff, because like, you don't want to do a big elaborate base for painters, right? I mean, and even then, even in open, it doesn't count for that much. Like, you can sculpt it, and so it can be like, looked at with the sculpting and the composition. But again, it's not as important as the figure itself. Only in diorama, I think, do you really get into where basing, and that's a category we made up, right? Because so many people like to do elaborate bases in our genre. But IPMS won't have that, right? So yes, they should look at basing. But in the end, as long as the basing is there and doesn't detract from the model, it really does not matter as much. So there, I would have to say, again, have you looked at the criteria weights for the ReaperCon competition, Val? Because there are criteria sections. Oh, Keekster stopped growing a long time ago. She's over here. She's like going to be 3 soon. Thank God, too. She weighs just short of 80 pounds. So right now, guys, I'm just glazing. I'm intensifying the light up here, and I'm de-emphasizing the light in here. I'll probably glaze still. Oh, Papa does not stay out of the puddles. Here, let me see if I can bring up the ReaperCon criteria. Let's see if I can find it on the interwebs. Right, so here we go. This is actually pretty good for the AI overview. 5 criteria, and the international judging criteria were what was established by Shepard Payne, who created the open system. Right, so presentation overall effect is where basing comes in. Workmanship is fit and finish, as well as just, if you're sculpting, it counts in there, right? Creativity is what you think. Painting skill is exactly what you think. Difficulty is exactly what you think. How difficult was the project? So a one-piece figure scores low on difficulty. But, dioramic category, but it's more general. Well, first, make sure that your own competition doesn't, like, if they're using Shep's system, if they're using the international judging criteria, then it won't be ReaperCon. Like, and we did have Shep's okay to change this, by the way. Whitney found it? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, for example, painting skill is weighed heavily in the painter category and less in the open category. There are artistic criteria. Yeah. Right, so I'm gonna look up one more thing. Because Sheps is a little different. Yeah. Yeah, I think you've got it. I mean, IPMS is supposed to use it. Hold on. Yeah. You have presentation. And it does state that, with the exception of diorama, bases will not be evaluated. So they are sticking to their version of the rules. This is IPMS. I'm looking at IPMS right here. IPMS USA. The Competition Handbook and Judges Guide. So it's different from Reaper, and you should judge according to their rules. Because, yeah, it specifically states in presentation that bases will not be evaluated as part of the model entry except for diorama. So they were following the rules. Yeah, this all seems pretty, this seems pretty good. Yeah, because there's definitely a difference. Reaper made changes to Shep's initial rules. So, yes, exactly. Creativity doesn't apply as much to the historical figs, unless it does apply though in open with sculpting, right? So I'm betting, I don't know if they have actually a weighted. Let me see if they've got a weighted list. This is very figures. I see. Yeah, I mean, this seems pretty straightforward. I mean, if nothing else, if a one-piece model doesn't take any construction or fit finish score, just give it a midline, right? It won't qualify for diorama unless the basing actually obscures parts of the figure. Per these rules, you might want to just go read the IPMS USA rules. IPMSUSA.org/about/competition. I just searched for international. I searched for international judging criteria for models/miniatures, and it gave me the first result is the IPMS USA handbook. But you can only go in diorama if you have more than one figure on the base, or if parts of the scenery obscure parts of the figure. And there's a specific measure of how much the scenery is permitted to obscure the figure. That's funny, Valandar. Essentially, that means that your fairy is going to be... Okay. So, if the competition is coming up, Val, I would refocus your efforts. You put a lot of work into the base. That's great. But, I mean, just make sure the fairy itself is dead on good. Like, elevate it as much as you can. But by my own experience, historical shows tend to be good for 28s if you can really focus in on the small details, because those guys are usually really impressed if you can do tiny stuff. So yeah, I would just, don't regret the work you put in the base. Because, it's something you wanted to do. But it's not going to actually apply to, the actual scoring. So now this is starting to look good. And you can see how much I'm just going back and forth and fine-tuning it and kind of slowly, I'm keeping the shadow here, but I'm adding a little bit more white. I'm shrinking it down. Remember that in order for the hair to look white and not light gray, 75% of this surface needs to be white or near white. So Yeah, the reason we put basing as more of a factor in our competition rules for ReaperCon is that we know that painters love to do big bases. Like, we know that fantasy painters love to do that. We love to set a scene. We love to do a dramatic base on the model that we like. You know, and because of that, we adjusted. And Shep was cool with that. Like, I think Ed passed all of the changes he wanted to make. He ran it all past Shep, and Shep thought it was great. Because the original rules really are more for historical, like they were written for historical. So ReaperCon's version is kind of a fantasy rules set for that. Fantasy sci-fi, you know, spec fic rule set for the international judging criteria. I'm not sure. World Expo might have a slightly modified version as well. Since they also like the historical, although there is historical stuff there for sure. Yeah, really it's the category though. What's the point? If you want to do a big base, enter, you know, do 2 figures, enter diorama. And I mean, this also comes down to what you're painting for, right? There is absolutely nothing wrong with you doing work on a base just because you enjoy it. The painting competition, if it doesn't want to reward you for that, that's fair. Because it's not the figure. It's really just like what are you painting for versus are you only painting for competition? Like, is that the reason you painted this model, right? And if so, just explore the rules of your particular competition beforehand and make sure you're not spending extra time. Because I bet that a lot of people who are spending a lot of base work time, they're probably, you know, like you, they hadn't actually looked at the rules for the IPMS that said that basing doesn't count, right? I personally really like well done bases. So I'm on the side of, you know, do one and again, still not going to count it more than 5 or 10%. But if I'm on the edge, if you've done a terrible base and I'm on the edge of like, you know, like a high bronze, low silver, that may push you to the high bronze, or if you've done a great one, it may push you to the low silver. But it's never going to be, even in ReaperCon, it's never going to be the deciding factor. Like, it's, like I said, in diorama, it's where it really belongs. Like, if you want to do a really cool base. Because then you're telling a story, right? Like, I kind of wish we had a vignette category that was just for telling a story with a single figure on a scenic base. Like, that would be cool. Hey there, Miniatures Den. We are talking about the international judging criteria for IPMS, World Expo, and ReaperCon. And how ReaperCon changed the criteria from their original form that Shepard Payne created in order to work better with our fantasy figures that we have to judge. And we're talking about IPMS and how it's different. Talking about how much should basing count in your score, if at all. We're doing all that stuff today. And I'm painting white hair, in case you haven't noticed. Hey, everybody. Hello, Alpaca Nation. But yeah, so we're talking about all that while I talk about how if you want a surface to look white, you need to make sure the majority of the surface actually is white or near white. So we started with gray and with a very lined, very, very stylized look. And then I've been essentially glazing and slowly adjusting my white, thinning it a lot, and working it up so it looks more natural. Yeah, well, and if that's the way the judging system works, that's the way the judging system works. The only way to change it considering that it is an international judging criterion and it's used worldwide, Val, the only way to change it is to do what we did, make your own painting competition and use your own version. But yeah, the international judging criteria, I mean, they exist for a reason, right? Because we want a standard way of looking at stuff. And even though Reaper changed it a little bit, it's still very similar to the original. I think at most we actually like laid down percentages. And I think we took the percentages from like Tulsa. Like some venues will actually assign a certain like 70% is painting, things like that. And we took that and adjusted it. But yeah, extremely unlikely that you will be able to change an international system that's used worldwide for judging miniatures. At least as the IPMS use it. And since IPMS still are mostly... I mean, one presumes that the person who spent a lot of time recreating a scene, I guess if it was a single figure, yeah, they're kind of screwed. You can't count the basing. But if it was in diorama, where it maybe should have been if they were recreating a scene, if it had more than one figure, then you should be able to count that. So I'm just glazing, and I'm essentially took that stripey look, and I'm just glazing over it, adding a little bit of interference lining with my white so that it's not quite as stripey as it was, right? So I'm glazing over this area where the halo effect, I told you guys about the halo effect, so we're going to come in and we're going to solidify that effect on this side, but you can see on this side where that round halo of highlight comes out. One figure, yeah. Yep, then it's just, I mean, it's still cool. Like, it's still a cool challenge. I guess it depends on why that person painted it. If the person really loved the scene and wanted to recreate it, and they don't really care, they just entered it to enter it, and you've got no way of knowing, right? Then, yeah, it's a bummer that you couldn't, like, give them props for the scene, but, I mean, if their painting was good, they should still have scored highly. I guess it's just a little extra, right? Basing gives you that little extra push. So we're going to pick up the white brighter. I mean, but it's fair. I mean, I judged Crystal Brush before Crystal Brush stopped being Crystal Brush. I was brought in to do that one year, and I didn't like how they judged, so I never, it died soon after that, but I was never interested in going back, even if I'd been invited, because I didn't like how they judged it. So sometimes it's just like that. I'm glazing again. And even when I'm glazing, because I'm using a little bit of a strong glaze, I'm still moving my brush in the direction of the hair so that if I do leave any streaks or kind of artifacts, they're going to show up as, like, hair strokes. Basing gives you that little extra stress. Yes, Quindy likes the rules that say you don't have to worry about basing. As long as there's a base and it's painted, you're okay. So I'm going to go up here now, and I'm going to glaze a little bit more top of the head, because this is a bit dark, the part. So I'm going to grab a little bit of my white and thin it down. Yeah, so I mean, if they had poorly, if their painting wasn't great, then I would argue that giving them a better score just because of their basing wouldn't have helped them as painters, right? Because part of the point of the open system also is you're trying to encourage and help painters. Like, that actually was the foundation. Like, yes, it's a judging criteria, but like I said, and the way that it was taught to me at Tulsa and Chicago, you are trying to encourage people, but there's encouragement, And then there's doing them no favors. Like, I don't think that a really well done base should rescue, or a base that has a lot of effort in it should rescue a figure that's like got poorly done washes for shadows. Like, I don't think it should make a huge difference in their score. Yeah, right. Yeah. Right. Like, because putting that person up a mark just because they're basing, that's gonna what message does that send, right? Don't bother learning to layer your shadows nicely. You could just do a nice base. You know, it'll cover you. Or it'll help, right? Whereas if it's like, well, you got this, because even though your base was really nice, we really couldn't score it, and your washes need work, right? Yes, and that is true. Green users have an excellent point, and that's why I always did bases for Golden Demon. Because what bases can do is they help to display the model, right? And so if you're using your basing skillfully, it may mean that the model stands out more when judges, especially in a 3-2-1, which, given that's not open system, but it may catch the judge's eye a little bit more. I would say that that's more of a thing in a 3-2-1 system like Golden Demon, where you're just trying to stand out so your piece gets looked at and maybe put up in a first cut. Maybe a little less in your average open system, just because, maybe I'll look at that model first, but if your painting isn't up to it, the basing isn't going to help it. But yeah, in situations like that, Val, if you know the person, and this is why I didn't actually really like Crystal Brush, there was no way for me to give feedback to people. It was just a score, it was just like, you got what you got, you made first cut or you didn't. And there was no mechanism for me to actually give feedback and encouragement to any of the entrants. So, like, at an IPMS show, hypothetically, it's casual enough that you could make a note of the person's name and you could ask your fellow judges if they know the community. Like, ask, who's this person anyway, Find that person and then actually say, hey, I judged your entry. And I wanted to say that, even though we couldn't, give you credit for the base because of the rules of the competition, I thought it was amazing base and I thought it really elevated the figure. Like, that's probably the best way to tackle what you're dealing with, right? And that's the way that I would, yeah. My bottom line, you have to judge according to your rules. So you can't just judge according to your own personal belief system. But I do believe that giving people feedback is valuable, and I would do it that way. I would be like, and I've done that at like Tulsa before. If I saw a piece that I really loved, and then, we were going through on the last day and I saw the person packing up the mini, I stopped to tell them, I really loved how you did this, right? And that kind of feedback, even if it's not a medal or a better medal or whatever, that kind of feedback is still important to people, right? And that's what I didn't like about Crystal Brush, is there's just no way for you to leave a note or to give them any feedback at all. And in a place like Adepticon where there's so many people, you're just not going to be able to search them out like you can at a smaller show. The community is just too big and it's got too many pieces in it. Like, there's too many different kinds of communities all crammed together at Adepticon, so it's not like... I found that at, like, Chicago, if I asked one of the guys I knew, hey, who's this guy? They could say, oh yeah, Andy, he's right over there, blah. Everybody knew each other. Or most people knew each other. Hi there, Kiki. What's up, little doglet? It's not time yet. You've got a whole 20 minutes. A whole 20 minutes to wait, little dog. Oh, maybe Luca's here today, so maybe you only have 14 minutes to wait. Yeah. And it's rainy anyway, Bubba. You really want to go out there and get damp? I think we have the hair pretty well in hand here. Maybe I'll do... Yeah, no, that's pretty good. I think I need to fade in my shadow right here by the ear. It's a little clumsy. Hi there, Kiki. Yeah, Kiki wants scritches. Sorry, guys. Gotta interrupt the stream briefly for dog scritches. I have a big waggy tail over here. A big plumey tail. Okay, Plumie Tail, go and settle. You've got another 13 and a half minutes, okay? Yeah. Right. Yeah, and that's where entering smaller competitions can be good. Entering ReaperCon is good for that. I'm trying to think of other competitions that might do that. Smaller competitions at Adepticon, like I got really good judge feedback when I entered. They don't do it anymore, but Privateer Press's Grandmaster. Eric Swinson and the guys at the booth gave me really good feedback. So smaller competitions, even at big cons, can be a good one. Like I'm sure if you entered something like the Creature Caster, and then you went up to like the guys afterwards and asked, hey, can you tell me what you thought about my figure? I'm sure that they would take the time to tell you. Because they just are happy to have people entering the competition. Yeah, just that that's great, Twisted Oma, but a lot of us don't have the time to do that. You never count on it. I gotta get a little bit of liner here. I just want to thin it way down, be able to kind of crisp up that area. This is where liner really shines because it's really, really dark, but you can add water to it, and it fades out nicely into more of a natural shadow. And I want it to be pretty lightweight. This is a little bit too dark still. I want to fade it down. Maybe we'll try that. Might be too dark. You can always line and glaze over it with the white too. That's another way to get a good sharp line. I went over a little bit there and I blocked out my line. But yeah, you're more likely to get good feedback. I mean, ReaperCon is one of the best as far as bigger competitions for getting feedback. Smaller competitions at Adepticon. Smaller competitions in general, I would think you'd have a better chance of getting good feedback. I know when I used to do when we used to go to Origins, when I was judging the Origins painting competition, we always were open for feedback. But it really depends on the competition and its priorities. I don't know if you can get feedback at Gen Con, for example. I don't know how the competition is going there at this point. There we go. No, it's really cool, Twisted Oma. It's just like you can't depend on it, right? All right, and I'm just kind of looking at this. I feel like I need just a little bit more back here. I need to brighten up this area. The top of the head should be super bright at this point, and I feel like it is pretty good. So it took me a little longer to get here. I think I do need a little bit more detail in there. Sometimes if I need a stronger line, I'm going to pick up paint. This is where on a wet palette, you would just pick up the thicker paint. But in a well, you can pick up paint from around the edge where it's a little bit more dried, a little bit more tacky, and it'll let you get a little bit of a stronger line when you need one. I just need a little bit more line in here because it was looking like just a blob. Yeah, that's better. And a little bit more work on this side, I think. So yeah, doing white hair and making it look like silky smooth and really cool. I'm going to dispense with this shadow right around the face because I want the white to be right up against his skin. But yeah, it can take time to do a good white hair. But it also lets you just work on your highlights, right? Because that's what you're doing, really, is when you're highlighting with white, it's like it's all highlight. It's all like, it lets you work on your highlight and shadow placement because it becomes very simple. This is I would say this is a very good model to practice hair on. Because it's smooth, but it has defined locks, and you can really spend some time on it. Yeah, this is exactly the way I would do Drow. Mirage. So I'm going to block in a little bit more down here. And I think we're pretty good. The problem is, like, I'm not at the end of stream. And I need to, like, paint something else. I guess I'll paint in the fireball a bit. What I will do, actually, is because I want the fireball to be very bright, I will thicken up my white paint and we'll paint it white. We're going to base coat it white. Anything you want to be something like glowing or really bright, even if you've got like a gray primer or you're working over gray. Gray usually is going to dim down those colors just a little bit. So throw your white on. I just have to do a couple coats because my white's still a little bit thinned. That makes sense, Derek. That's what happens when painters become sculptors. It's just like when painters make paint lines. We tend to do the thing that works for our paint style. It's very swirly flame. I'm very interested to paint it. But yeah, I was just saying that this is a very good miniature to practice hair on, Derek, because it has just enough detail, but there's still room to paint little strands. And it's a good, simple design for working on lighting, highlighting hair. Now I'm just going to block in the fireball all in white. I'm going to try and make it really solid. Yeah, Val. Well, you can I mean, I'm a well palette user, so I won't look askance at you for dropping the wet palette. It has its uses, but it's all what's going to work for you. So I mean, I would try both. And I would kind of experiment with the wet palette. There's a big difference between a very wet palette and a very dry wet palette. I have found that the wet palette actually works a bit better for me when I kind of copy what my husband does and use it very dry. So minimal water. I was going to do kind of concept art, but we'll see. Blue fire, he's been pictured using both blue fire and red and orange fire Pendrake, so we have both options for this character in the Pathfinder milieu, so to speak. But I'm not going to necessarily make the decision about the color of the flame until I've got the clothing kind of blocked in. We're going to go maroon, gray, and black, kind of to do a synergy of the two versions of the character. He definitely started out as rather a goth boy Magus, but nowadays he's more gray, white, maroon, but I want to do a little bit of both. So most people wanted the gray and maroon, so I'm going to use primarily gray and maroon, but with a bit of black for some of the simpler areas. Yes, chat didn't wanted to be him to be non-goth. That's okay, Quindy. You should paint yours goth in protest. So we'll just use this, and then I'm going to go over it one more time to get a solid coat. I could probably run with this, but there's still a little bit of the gray showing through. And if we're going to make it fire, especially if we're going to make any OSL at all, it has to be super bright. And if it's going to be super bright, I have to take it to white before I start painting over it. Top 10 anime betrayals of all time. I'll pick out a mini and make sure it's as gothy as I can get it for you, Quindy. I have lots of minis I'm looking at. For the upcoming months. I have to find the turtle, though, guys. Like, maybe that's what I need to do for the last few minutes of stream, is I need to dig out my turtle and make sure I've got it. The relief figure. I don't know why I didn't put that in the first set of things that I wanted to paint, and I'm a little bit nervous that I've lost it, and that's why I didn't put it up as one of the choices. Yes, I do love you, Quindy. No, I don't want to do a goth turtle. I thought about it, but I think I want to do kind of the color scheme I used on my own Bardsung turtle, because it's got that cool ambient light, which is something we haven't done on stream. I really probably need to let this dry for a second. So, I'm going to leave you with Mr. Pasty Face, Mr. Weird Face Whitefire, and grab my box of Reaper miniatures and try to find my turtle. Where is my turtle? Does it have a special card? Let's see here. No. I have a carrion crawler. No. Maybe it's something else. No. No. Uh-oh. I'm a little afeared. Oh no, it's not in the box. Wait, what's this? Nope. Not in the box. Crap! What did I do with it, guys? Damn it. There's one more box on the bottom. Nope. I have lost my turtle. God damn it. Now I'm going to have to figure out where it went, or I'm just going to have to order another one, because I don't want to... maybe it's in there. I have another box. Oh, hey, is it Luca time? Is he here? Because it's Luca time. Is it Luca time? Is there a Luca, or is there not a Luca today? Yep. Thanks, Turgeon. We will see you tomorrow when we are working on this dude again. Bird. Bird is the word. Another Derek Schubert, because apparently we cannot get enough of Derek Schubert on this stream right now. Oh, yeah, the time change. Yep. Yeah, that would explain why we don't have a Luca. He also could just be slacking. Hold on, guys. I need to check for Turtle in this other box of miniatures, because I kind of have too many boxes of miniatures right now. No. Turtle? No. Ah. No. Yay! It was hiding. Oh, now Kiki's coming. Did she hear me go, yay? Yeah, Keeks? Was that a yay? Yays are excite. Yays are so excite. Yay! Oh, we've got a Kiki. Yeah, I'm getting licked. Turtle is found, and we've got a Kiki appearance. Kiki appearance says hi. Hi. Oh, you're a good girl. There you go, cutie. Yes, that's my giant cute dog. Yes, we'll see. We'll see. Okay, so this is dry now. And we have Turtle. Turtle. Totally gonna paint Turtle, guys. Is this still available, by the way, guys? Think so? He did not remember. So Luca will be available in an hour. Is that what you're saying? Oh, good. Yes. All right. We'll have to put the turtle in sooner rather than later, guys. I'm just going to use a quick brush over the top of this now. There we go. All right, well. Yeah, you need to get one before they go out of print, Branch, because they will. Because the, there we go, so that's showing up bright white. Good. Whenever you get a no shit message. Yes. So let's see. Yeah, things are moving along. I feel like the one that's going to be done fastest is going to be like either bird guy or cat guy. So we'll make sure that Turtle stays in the upper echelons of miniatures that we're going to paint next. Because I really love Turtle. So we will totally paint Turtle Druid. And I will use the colors and style that I did. So we'll use a blue light source, guys. To make it look like a blue ambient light. So that'll be a little bit different. Oh, general release, only the charity. Oh, okay, that's good, Quindy. Well, that's good. Then it'll be good then it'll be available forever. I have no idea, seriously, if they do. If so, I suspect it's small. A lot of the models that I choose are things that people already own. So yeah. All right, well then, it is about that time. Kiki is clicking around in the background. So I think, yeah, that makes sense, because then you can still make the mini available, because a lot of the charity minis are really cool. And then you have less, a lot less paperwork, so. Ah, okay, seriously. Well, that's good. Yeah, I mean, if I can showcase some of the really cool models and you buy them, Reaper's not complaining, right? Okay. Yep. Okay, sounds good. There are lots of different patterns of turtle. You might look at turtle colors, Val. Hey, enough of that. I was already going to do it, Bub. I was already going to end. All right, somebody is obviously stealing our garbage bins or something because Kiki. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Gwindy, thanks for being back and being our awesome mod as always. And yeah, look what we did for the giant maggots. It's so true. All right, you guys. I will see you again tomorrow when we'll be working on Bird Dude. All right? Have a good one, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.